Now, we're going to Dr. Jerome Corsi here in a moment. With Obama's signature creates continental perimeter, move described as key step in advance of North American Union. We also are going to get into more and more bizarre mainstream articles. Canada, U.S. agree to use each other's troops in civil emergencies. That's out of the Ottawa Citizen. That's consummated by this deal 2 weeks ago by Lord Obama. Now 3 weeks ago on February 7th, that Corsi wrote about at WorldNet Daily. That is coming up. Also, warning of food riots in the UK. We told you that 8 years ago. It's all been planned. But first, I want to get Corsi's take on Lindsey Williams, who had Ken Fromm, the head of Atlantic Richfield, tell him 5 months ago as he was dying of cancer that oil would go to 150 to 200 with a staged globalist, George Soros-style revolution. Doesn't mean the revolution isn't real. It's just triggered by the globalist to drive up oil prices, kill the Arabs financially, then killing the dollar. Now you see Wall Street Journal saying the end of the dollar is here. Oh, it's a good thing. That's like saying, oh, you got brain cancer. That's a good thing. We're going to get Dr. Corsi, who's also really an economics expert's take on that. But so he can hear Lindsey Williams from October 21st on this show. He went into a lot more detail, but I'll play a short clip of it because Lindsey Williams is joining us next hour. Here is that clip of him laying it out, not just from Ken Fromm, who died a month later, but from his other, and I know the man's name, and we've actually called him. I'll leave that out of it. So is Dr. Monteith, who is an even bigger CEO of a big three, confirmed it and laughed with pleasure and said, you go ahead and tell the slaves there's nothing they can do to stop us. And now exactly what he told Pastor Williams is now happening. Here's that clip.
With their crude oil prices, this means that their program is on schedule. They're doing exactly what they've been telling me over these years they were going to do. Here it is. Here's the price. Crude oil is going back to $150 to $200 a barrel. Gasoline at the gas pump will be $4 to $5 a gallon. This is going to contrive massive inflation. Can you imagine what this is going to do to airline fares? With the airlines, I know they're making money right now. They're one of the most viable businesses in America. Can you imagine what this is going to do to the truck and freight line prices? Can you imagine what this will do to the grocery store and the hardware store?
Okay, it goes on and on. Meanwhile, the Fed is oblivious, saying there's no inflation. Inflation's rearing up everywhere. It's triggering many of the riots that the globalists then are using. Dr. Corsi, what's your take on my last 5-minute rant and Lindsey Williams' prediction, one of many, coming true with precision?
Well, I hope you'll... I've got great respect for Lindsey Williams, and I hope you'll give him my best regards when he's on in the next segment. I really agree that we're headed... You know, I predicted when I wrote Black Gold Stranglehold that we would hit $100 a barrel oil. That was about in 2005, and that prediction was ridiculed then. We hit $148 a barrel in July 2008, and I agree with Lindsey Williams. We're headed back to that level. We'll be lucky if it doesn't go higher than $148 a barrel.
Now, what's your view, before we shift gears into the main reason you're here, North American Union, on what's happening in the Middle East? You notice it's all the key choke points on the waterways, and we know George Soros' people are in there, Google's in there, NSA, MI6, SAS. I mean, there's no... And CNN's hailing it. Glenn Beck's being criticized for staying it staged. Dr. Corsi, what's your view on this?
Well, and I agree with you. Look, the George Soros funding of causes around the world against the United States are notorious. And the manipulation of oil, which is being done by OPEC, the globalists have manipulated oil for a long time. Barack Obama, if you recall, when he campaigned, said he welcomed the high price of oil because he thought he'd move people to green energies. I think really Barack Obama had the globalist agenda in heart, and that is he knew that it would devastate the United States economy, high prices of oil and natural gas, that it would destroy industrial activity and push us back into a agency or Agenda 21 type low growth, if not population decline pattern, which the globalists have wanted for decades. We've got abundant natural gas and oil here in the United States, offshore, in Alaska. I've maintained for a long time that oil is abiotic. It's not dinosaur soup. It's not created by fossils.
Well, we know now that's being proven. Not just you writing about it a decade ago with all the scientists you interviewed, but now all the oil wells, most of them around the world, keep filling back up.
And look how deep they are. Look at this Deepwater Horizon, which blew with such tremendous pressure in the Gulf
It was
of
almost
Mexico.
through the crust.
Right, and we were down, they're 5, 6, 7 miles below the surface of the water, where the Russians, the Soviets at the end of World War II knew that oil was a deep energy resource, that it was not created by sedimentary rock. It's not the case that all the dinosaurs herded in Saudi Arabia and died in a big heap at the end of the Mesozoic era. Underneath the oil
No, the
fields,
crust is just thinner there, so it's easier to get at.
Yeah, right. They decided they were going to precede the elephants. They decided to go to the great hunting ground and to die all in a big heap. That's not how we got oil in the Middle East. If you take a look at the studies of the bedrock fractures underneath the oil fields in Saudi Arabia, the oil fields are right on top of the bedrock fractures. That's where the oil has seeped up from being created in the mantle of the earth and pools in these sedimentary rocks. So we have abundant oil in the Gulf of Mexico. A great meteor hit that at the end of the Mesozoic era. We know that. It deeply fractured the bedrock of the Gulf, and the Gulf, as a result, is filled with oil. We're going to find abundant oil. 3/4 of the world is filled with water. We've barely looked under the oceans for oil. We'll be having nuclear batteries driving our cars before we ever come close to running out of oil. But yet, the globalists, the Barack Obamas of the world, the George Soroses do not want the United States of America to have abundant, cheap energy, which we could have. It's also a deep, dark secret that the oil companies fund the environmentalists, and they have a big game on. British Petroleum has this big ad campaign, BP Beyond Petroleum. It's a joke that BP is beyond
Well, they're creating
petroleum.
artificial scarcity. It's just like George Soros gets the sweetheart deals with Obama. GE and Soros are the only ones allowed to build new power plants. All their competition gets shut down. That's just the mafia model, like the 1,040 health care waivers to their buddies who don't have to get the health care for their employees, an unfair trade advantage. This is just Chicago mafia system.
I agree. And, look, also, what you've got going on, Alex, is that if people are convinced that oil is fossil fuel, there are only so many fossils, so there can only be so much oil. And that's where this whole conspiracy to make people think oil is rare starts.
Absolutely. Dr. Corsi, stay there. By the way, this is not an alternative theory about the abiotic oil. Okay, it's an absolute fact that oil does not come from dead dinosaurs. Okay? We'll be right back with Dr. Jerome Corsi to get into the North American Union. But the big banksters, they're the ones that created the big government to control things. And then you've got Obama sending his thugs in to protest against Bank of America when he's financed by him. It's totally staged.
Well, it's all staged, because if you take a look at the money that goes in from Wall Street, this is another one of the, Michael Moore ought to go to the Federal Election Commission and read the reports, because Wall Street largely funded Barack Obama. And anybody who has any mystery about that ought to realize that when it came time, Barack Obama paid back. He bailed out all of his buddies, especially Goldman Sachs. This is a big game on. Goldman Sachs has made trillions of dollars over the decades being in bed with big government and controlling the SEC. This Madoff scam should make it clear to everybody that the SEC is and has always been in bed with whoever is controlling, stealing, cheating money out of Wall Street. It's a big game, and it's a game that's to the detriment of the American people and the American economy. And the globalists and the people at the top want to manage this big money game. So Wall Street funds Barack Obama, and wink, wink, they deny it.
Amazing. Stay there. Let's come back and finish up on that, Dr. Corsi. Then I want to get into the big North American Union news while we got you here. Stay with us. Infowars.com. He's with WorldNetDaily.com. Okay, we are back live with Dr. Jerome Corsi. What's happening is we're going into an engineered plan economy. It's a global corporate government, but it's not free market. So Republicans are taught if it's free market, if it's a corporation, it can do no wrong. But the corporations are acting like governments, coming in and taking over our governments, lobbying to have our farms and ranches shut down so big agribusiness has a monopoly, passing environmental laws to shut down small industry so it can only operate in China, India, and Mexico, operating so only General Electric gets the waivers for new coal-powered plants, openly to shut down the competition. That's the Enron plan. There's been more indictments over the pump and dump stuff with the plants. I mean, this is not our opinion. And when you read the SPP documents that Judicial Watch got, that Dr. Corsi went through in 2007, and other documents since, they said, look, we've got to integrate by stealth. It's covered in my film Endgame, Blueprint for Global Enslavement, covered in his book, The Late Great USA. They said, and it was over 100 corporate CEOs, they're giving orders to the heads of the unelected bureaucracy. And they said, we'll use the flu as a way to integrate. We'll use terror threat. We'll use drug threat. We'll use economic collapse. And now they never stopped building it in stealth. Now Obama has come out and signed the North American Union Security Perimeter. Dr. Corsi has written at length about this. And it's all part of the strategic corporate hijacking of the big mega corporations that are bigger than most governments who have disdain for the free market. And as John D. Rockefeller said, competition is a sin. Competition is a sin because he liked inside operations. Dr. Corsi, you've got the floor on this situation. We're still going into North American integration by stealth, and it looks like they've put the afterburners back on.
Well, they have. I mean, I wrote an article in WND. People aren't aware that Barack Obama met with Prime Minister Stephen Harper. They agreed on February 4th. They signed a Beyond the Border bilateral declaration. It created a North American continental perimeter. This was one of the chief goals of the Security and Prosperity Partnership in North America. And then I also wrote my Red Alert newsletter, and people now can get the Red Alert newsletter free. I'm a managing director at Guilford Securities in New York. I'm still very actively involved in the securities industry. GuilfordSecurities.com. You can get Red Alert. I write it every week free or through WND. The article I'm headlining this week is that Obama has already decided, it was announced at his press conference last week with Mexico's President Felipe Calderon, to allow the Mexican trucks to come back into the United States, to roll freely throughout the United States. Congress took the money away from this. In fact, Obama signed the executive order, signed the law, the defunding. It was in the $410 billion omnibus funding bill that President Obama signed in March 2009. Congress took away the money from the Department of Transportation to do this Mexican truck demonstration project, but Obama is allowing the Mexican trucks to come back into the United States under his own authority without any attempt at all to come to Congress to get authorization or seek approval.
Wow. Please continue.
Well, and then, but I've really tried to detail how what's going on now is a closer merging together with Canada on this continental perimeter deal, and then building the infrastructure to integrate with Mexico. Now, another thing most people don't realize is that Janet Napolitano went down to Mexico on November 30th, the end of last year, and she signed an agreement on trusted travelers. The North American Trusted Traveler Program was put into place with Mexico. And what this does is it allows Mexicans to come and get a card. It looks like just an ATM card or a driver's license with their picture on it. It'll be a biometric card issued by the Department of Homeland Security. And Mexico is claiming something like 80 million Mexicans, which is about 8/10 of the country, is ultimately going to have these cards. Now, what you do with these cards is that when you come into a airport or port of entry, take a look at globalentry.gov, where you've got these terminals being put in place. They look like ATM machines. You take your Mexican Trusted Traveler North American card, you sweep it through the globalentry.gov terminal, you answer a few questions, and you walk in across the border. And Mexico has just demanded, they're putting into place a program where all children in the schools under age 19, which is probably going to be about 25 million children in Mexico, are going to be issued, they have to go get these biometric government-issued ID cards that have a picture, have a facial scan with full facial digital recognition, iris recognition built into the card, all 10 fingerprints. And this is the beginning of, once the Mexican children get these IDs from the Mexican government, then they become trusted travelers in North America. This is another key program of the Security and Prosperity Partnership in North America. I've been writing about it on WND in my Red Alert newsletter. Hardly anybody knows it's being put into place because Barack Obama's decided to go under the radar. He's taken down the website, spp.gov, but without announcing these big decisions in any major way. Through the authority of the White House alone, Barack Obama is letting the Mexican trucks come into the United States, declaring a North American security border with Canada, and beginning the Trusted Traveler of North American program with Mexico.
They just continue to move ahead with this takeover, and I have a news article here in my stack, and I've seen similar ones over the years, over and over again in the Associated Press, you name it. Canada, U.S. agreed to use each other's troops in civil emergencies. Canada and the U.S. have signed an agreement that paves the way for the militaries from either nation to send troops across each other's borders during an emergency, but some are questioning why the government has kept silent on the deal. But then you bring up NLE 09 and open drills to use foreign troops to, quote, fight American terrorists, and Mexican troops going to New Orleans and during Katrina. I've been to the urban warfare drills. The role players at drill after drill with Marines and Army with foreign troops is American gun owners and libertarians. So there is a giant program going on preparing for war with the American people. And we need to stop denying that the bureaucracy's out of control, that this is high treason, that Bush committed an act of treason, signing the SPP in secret in 2005 in Waco, as you know, Dr. Corsi.
Right, I said that directly at the time. And
there's ongoing continuity of agenda. There's really no difference. And I mean, how do we stop this? I mean now they're our troops are at their Olympics. Their troops are down here. I mean,
well, look, Alex, we've signed the agreement under the Security and Prosperity Partnership with Mexico and Canada that if there is another breakout of influenza or avian flu or another health epidemic, the United States has agreed to go under UN authority and to work with a North American command to deal with the health emergency in the United States. We've already signed the agreement. And again, Bush signed the agreement as one of these agreements with Mexico and Canada that was never brought before Congress as a treaty. This is all being done under the radar. And when people like you or I'm saying, here's the government websites. Go to globalentry.gov. I list the 20 airports where these terminals are being put into place, the Trusted Traveler terminals, Boston Logan, Dallas, Houston, Honolulu, JFK in New York. These are the major airports all around the country. The terminals are there. globalentry.gov, government website shows that they're there. We point out government websites, and they still say we're the conspiracy theorists because the Obama administration, just like the Bush administration, does not want their globalist North American Union agenda exposed. And when we do expose it, Alex, they hit back by trying to do ad hominem attacks, calling us names, when the truth is that the real conspirators are the Bush administration, the Obama administration, Canada's government, Mexico's government. They're all working together to put in place the infrastructure of the North American Union without officially announcing it to the peoples of any of the three countries.
Now, how do we get the word out to people, though, that the same multinational corporations, Microsoft, Yahoo, Google, and others, Cisco, you name it, have openly helped China and India roll out their RFID national slave ID cards, that they're helping set that up here, that the hemispheric ID card out for 3 years is the North American real ID, that the TSA is the federal Gestapo, even congressmen now saying, yes, they're going to take over the streets of America. They are running checkpoints. They're having high-powered X-rays that they drive citizens under, where the TSA and TSA-trained police stand under. They're not even following OSHA rules on radiology. I mean, it's a brazen, full-out offensive against every form of liberty. And that's the one angle that they've got up on us, it seems, is that it's so crazy that even when it's in the news that they're training to bring in Mexican and Canadian troops to, quote, deal with American terrorists, that's Associated Press quote, that it's so crazy people can't even deal with it. I mean, it's almost like the reports of 500 years ago in 1492, when the islanders, the natives in the Americas would see sailing ships. They'd never seen anything like it, so some of them couldn't even see it. Even though it was right there, they couldn't see it because they had no psychological lexicon. Do you see what I'm saying, Dr. Corsi?
I do, and what my approach has always been, Alex, when I'm reporting in WND and my books, I have another book out here soon that's going to be another big fight. I try to tell people, like with the Mexican trucks, I've been writing about this for years and saying both the Bush administration and the Obama administration, they're going to let Mexican trucks in, and people say, oh no, the Teamsters Union and the Owner-Operator Independent Drivers Association, they all supported Obama. The union supported Obama. Obama would never do the Teamsters in by letting Mexican trucks in the United States. I said, you don't understand. Obama doesn't care about the Teamsters. It's a globalist agenda. So now when the Mexican trucks do start rolling in the United States, I expect people to go back to the articles I wrote to see that this was what I was writing about, that I was predicting it and documenting it. Also, Alex, I'd like to think everything I write is well documented. I've got links in my articles. You can see the government websites. I'm interviewing the government authorities. I'm quoting them directly. Now, when you read one of my pieces, you yourself can go see the primary documents where the government indicates that, yes, the Mexican trucks are now going to come into the United States. Obama did do this. He's ignoring Congress. There's no congressional vote going to be held on this. Congress took away the money at the end of the Bush administration. Obama's not going to care. He's just going to say, we're going to do the Mexican trucks and let somebody stop us.
But Dr. Corsi, when you call this government, it's not even government now. They
don't care about the Constitution anymore, Alex.
It's not government. It's not even legitimate. I mean, take the case that came out 3 weeks ago that we've really dropped the ball on. We've covered it some. We have a new article by J.T. Coyote today on Infowars.com. BATFE, secret op creates terror in Mexican border towns. I knew this several years ago. 5 years ago, I had Celi Costello, who was a former top DEA agent. They actually set him up over this and sent him to prison for coming on this show and others. And he said they're training Mexican drug cartels in South Texas. They're going to go after the cartels they don't control. The Mexican military is the main dealer. The CIA is training them. It's going to start. It's going to be a war down there. And the government shipping arms into Mexico to destabilize it. Now you have top ATF agents coming out valiantly in CBS News and saying, yes, we're ordered to let fully, auto weapons, 50 cal Barretts, everything.
Ordered in quantity.
In quantity to Mexico, because they know that over 90% of the weapons were being bought from the Germans and sold to the military. I know I'm interrupting. I just want to state it. Sold to the military. So the military's selling to the cartels. Hardly any of it's from America. So the ATF sets up dealers and conduits to sell guns so they can trace them back to then try to take our guns.
Take away the Second Amendment.
I mean, this is, Dr. Corsi, is this not a false flag that we've caught Obama?
Of course it is. This whole idea of the ATF allowing guns to be sold to Mexico and then putting out reports that the guns are being smuggled into Mexico so as to limit the Second Amendment, this is a total government operation to destroy the Second Amendment. It's a false flag. But look, my new book coming out there, Alex, is going to be, where's the birth certificate? It's on the birth. We have a president.
By the way, I want to carry that book. Who do I call to carry those in bulk?
Look at it. Joseph Vera is going to be published by WND. We'll make sure you get to carry the book.
Well, I'm not going to carry it unless I can carry it out of the gates, though. How do I do that?
Well, we'll make sure. I'll work with your producer. We'll get it set up right now. It's going to be published on May 17th. 2 months out from publication. The book has already been on the.
But again, the fact that they know there's questions about his providence and where he came from, that's all part of this precedent.
It is. They don't care. The White House doesn't regard the Obama administration doesn't care about the Constitution. This NPR interview that was done by, this James.
It shows they're like childlike cults where they just sit around making fun of people.
The NPR admits they're not going to cover the birther story, even though NPR is sitting at that table saying, we know that there's validity here. We know Barack Obama cannot prove that he is a natural-born citizen of the United States. They know it. They just won't cover it.
And here they are, secretly taped, admitting it.
Admitting it. It's the same thing with the guns. That's why I think my book is already going to be a bestseller from the pre-publication sales. Take a look at Amazon.com. Take a look on Barnes & Noble. We'll get it up on your site right away. I'll work with your producer.
Yeah, it needs to be up next week if it's already in pre-sale, because I want to get it out. But just in closing, Dr. Corsi, going back to this gun issue, shouldn't we start a movement to call for impeachment of Obama?
Absolutely. Because this is total disregard for the Constitution.
The government is selling the guns to the cartels to then blame it on America and the Second Amendment. That's staged terror.
And coming out with reports saying these guns are being smuggled into Mexico, therefore we need to have gun control in the United States.
It's terrorism.
All the while it's the government doing it.
I mean, how many times, Doctor, do we have to catch them creating the crisis to realize this is a group of ruthless crooks? And if they're going to commit 100 crimes, why not commit 10,000 or 10 million?
Well, let's go interview the Teamsters Union and see how they feel, having supported Barack Obama. Now Barack Obama is letting the Mexican trucks in the United States. Barack Obama does not care that, about 93% of all motor carriers in the United States have fewer than 20 trucks in their fleets. Wait till U.S. companies, big companies, start going down to Mexico and operating as Mexican trucking companies.
No, it's over. It's part of the race to the bottom, and it won't help Mexico either. Dr. Corsi, always great having you on. Let's have you on next week or 2 weeks from now. I mean, and I want to get that book and carry it. Where's the birth certificate? Thank you for coming on with us. We'll talk to you again soon.
Thanks, Alex. I look forward to it.
You bet. Take care, buddy. We'll be right back. More news straight ahead. All right, we got Lindsey Williams coming right up at the start of the hour. We're going to have open phones for him. I want to finish up with some statements on the unions and some other important news, but we told you there was going to be global food riots a decade ago when dollar devaluation happened, when they prepared to implode that global currency and bring in the new cashless system. You'll still have paper money. It'll just be digitally controlled at the IMF World Bank level. Now that's all public. How did we know? We had the Trilateral Commission and UN and IMF World Bank public reports. They trust that you don't read this stuff. We did. It's all public. That's what's so frustrating. The foreign troops to take our guns. It's in the newspaper. It doesn't exist. I'm a kook. Taking the veterans' death benefits. It's in Bloomberg. The vets are having their money taken. And when they go to their local group asking for help, they say, it's unpatriotic to ask for your death benefits. Get out of here. Red, white, and blue. It's just all this shallow mindlessness. What did I tell you in the last 2 years? That they were going to implode the world economy, implode the Middle East, and then blame it on the Arabs and oil. And now they're all over the news. Wall Street Journal, New York Times, The Economist, just as the world was recovering, oil as a time bomb with the fuse burning. I mean, it's just everywhere. It's all scripted. I mean, do we even tell you exactly what they're going to do with exact numbers? And then people try to sit there and nitpick. We know what we're talking about. The global government's out in the open. It's real. They've gone from laughing at us about chemtrails to admitting it but saying it's good. They've gone from laughing at us saying they're putting lithium and things in the water to saying, yeah, we're doing it. It's for your own good. Do you realize all over the country they add uranium and other isotopes to the water? And it's even in the mainstream news and nobody gets in trouble. Yeah, we're adding uranium. Die! The public's like, you bet. Give me some more. I ain't going to listen to that conspiracy theorist tell me uranium ain't no good. I like my uraniums. And then you got all these union people financed by the Democrats one arm of the New World Order, running in and demanding higher taxes and the looting of the middle class, when that's what the IMF and World Bank and Federal Reserve have called for, because they get the money. You don't have a real lobby, dum-dums. You're not going to get it. Even if you were average thieves who wanted to take what's left of the middle class's money for all your government largesse, do you understand we're bankrupt? And I've said cutting your goodies isn't going to fix anything. You got to write off that 1.5 quadrillion. I mean, if Michael Moore came out and said arrest the head of Goldman Sachs, J.P. Morgan, write off the 1.5 quadrillion, abolish the Federal Reserve, I would fall down on my knees and lick his boots. I don't enjoy up here bashing him, but he has to be bashed. He's up there posing as a populist saying the money is a collective resource. Did people in communist China or Soviet Russia or Nazi Germany get part of the collective resource? No, you don't get it. You don't get a free lunch. And the end of the free ride is coming to an end, folks, okay? So we're almost out of time for this hour. I hope folks will visit Infowars.com and buy some of the books, the videos, the materials. We're not like the government. We don't come with a gun and take your money and then use it against you. We ask for you to support us by getting the new book, Big Brother, Mark Dice's new book, exclusively available at Infowars.com, The Orwellian Nightmare Come True. Excellent new book. You can get these very handsome You Are the Resistance, Infowars.com bumper stickers. All the orders get a free citizen rule book. Fall the Republic, Obama Deception, Invisible Empire, Endgame. You may know all about this stuff. You may be 100% aware of all this information. But I assure you, your friends and family aren't. Now is the time to wake them up. Get the books and videos at Infowars.com.